A great welcome to yet another hot session in Zero Paisa series. I'm Ravi Shankar, Physical Rehab Business Analyst and Coach. This session is on a very sensitive but a very relevant topic, especially the younger lot of physical rehab analysts who are either still in academic years in physiotherapy, occupational therapy, prosthetics and orthotics, but have started getting a feel of these issues, or those who feel that they're struggling for dignity and earnings after acquiring standard qualifications and experiences in established fields of work. They all will be provided strong insights into the reasons and solutions in this session. So, while I say this, please note that I'm not going to make any soft pacifying statements over here, as it is said that if there is a problem lingering on long for you, then it is very likely that you are also part of the problem. So, here, that particular you is not any one person, but the whole professional pool across the nation. Though it's absolutely unintentional, but physical rehab analysts need to realize where unknowingly they're blocking their own career progressions. So, this session is going to open your minds into the real raw facts. So, let us make a dash here. So, what is disturbing everyone here? That professional respect and earnings are not coming and growing as they must, right? This is the core issue. And even more intriguing is the concern that when will these problems come to an end? Perfect. For a great lot of analysts in India, these concerns create multiple chains of perceptual insecurities, as what they actually expected was a great, enjoyable professional life. But what they're actually realizing is a life situation which is much different and tough. So let us move ahead to a very realistic analysis of relevant perceptions and facts. But before we do that, let us understand where from these insecurities come from. So it is quite obvious that all these experiences and perceptions of professional insecurities are acquired by analysts. So where from they are acquired? They are acquired through their personal and shared experiences in various situations, like at workplaces, all sorts of workplaces, especially with the comparative notion about compensation structures and scope of growth in earnings and career, right? Then another source of such insecurity comes from the society. Remarks or unintentional statements from people around you. They hurt us a lot, right? We feel that they're not actually regarding us as a dignified analyst, professional, like that. Then such insecurities, they also arise during discussions within the professional pool itself. Then the concerns of quackism in these fields, they are a great contributor to these perceptions. And then, not to forget, the price wars, especially in private sectors. Then comes experiences of professional colleagues who actually moved out of physical rehab field because they thought there is a great lack of growth perspectives over here. And the most favorite one is lack of a central council. Even state councils, though lately there has been a surge in their formations, but still there's a lot to be made and progressed, correct? To make it worse, the only story which most other professionals know about is that there is a continuous long struggle going on since years towards formation of these councils. And so our abundance prospects are still a faraway destination. But the strongest concern, in my opinion, as a physical rehab business coach, comes from unfulfilled personal expectations. That with this particular level of qualification, with these many years of experiences, or established high end set of skills, I'm not progressing in my career, or I do not see myself progressing significantly even in the next decade. So, no matter what great advancements in academics, knowledge, clinical acumen, technologies, and applications have been made in this country, personal prospects are still quite weak in the field of physical rehabilitation in India. And so, this is where the sense of insecurity nails the physical rehab analyst deep. And it really hurts them bad. Very bad. So it's time to have a real picture of what has happened, what is happening, and what is going to happen, or what can happen towards our claim to dignity and growth of our money and career in these fields in India. And what you are going to know further on in this session, it is very likely that you haven't come across any such analysis before. So let's move ahead. To have a clarity on what is being popularly perceived about these very much relevant issues and how much of them are realistic, we will take important 4 of them in this session. Okay? So the first perception, especially of the younger pool of analysts in physiotherapy, occupational therapy, prosthetics and orthotics, it's that the retired and existing lot of senior pool of professionals, they miss to create an impact in the society and in various government, non-government and private entities towards resolving these issues. Now, here's the real way to analyze this perception. See, to get established, any field of work first evolves as a known discipline, and then it needs to establish its credibility for the society. This is a natural process. You cannot establish the credibility of any professional discipline without making it known widely. Now, what does this mean? In a semi-urban or rural area, a doctor might know about physical rehab services and refer few patients also. But unless the general population directly knows about the services and approaches any concerned physical rehab analyst directly, there is no scope that credibility of such service will be established in that location. A significant fraction of population which regularly needs and approaches to hire such services directly, this is a must. This is a kind of a criteria which is a must to be fulfilled to establish the credibility of the profession in that particular location. Few patients over few months, this is not enough. So by this understanding, we must admit that as a professional pool, we have a far road to travel to make our services truly of national importance. Now, when we talk about the contribution of our retired and presently senior analysts in our respective fields of work, well, today, if you're present across the country, if each and every corner they know about these services, it is their effort. So they have done their part. But then, though we are present across the country, our services are still not accessible to a significant number of patients. Most of the places, right? Hence, the credibility of our respective fields will be established when these services will be made efficiently available in far and wide places in India. This responsibility of establishing the credibility lies with the present and future generations of analysts in these fields, right? And since most of these services are being rendered by private practicing analysts across India, they have a major role to play towards accomplishing this responsibility. Depending heavily upon and expecting from government systems will only slow down the desired progresses. So, realize your position in this evolutionary continuum of development of our fields, respective fields of physiotherapy, occupational therapy, prosthetics and orthotics, and focus on feasible contributions which you can make towards evolving them better in India. Let us make let us move to the second perception, which is that uh, the other disciplines in healthcare are reluctant to give physical rehab professionals their due credits in case of positive healthcare outcomes for any patient. Well, let us understand this issue from the application of physical rehab services across the continuum of healthcare. Starting from the critical care in hospital, the continuum of healthcare goes up to non-critical care services in hospitals, then to OPD visits, then to home health care, then clinics in communities, and then to the wellness services at the highest level. On this continuum, as level of care moves towards critical care situations, more of interdependent healthcare teams work together to take care of physiological safety of patients. So, in such situations, credit of results are shared by all rather by any one of the teams. But since a doctor is legally responsible for overall physiological safety of patients, so if any due credit is to be given to any one person, it is naturally given to the treating or in charge doctor. Take another instance here where a freshly operated patient is to be rehabilitated. Please acknowledge that a surgeon is not only handing over the case of rehabilitation, he or she is literally putting their whole reputation as a surgeon in the physical rehab analyst's hands. And this apprehension applies to every person and situation involved with their patients and not just to the concerned physical rehab analyst. So it is quite natural for them to ensure that till the time their patients move out of any impending physiological risks, they keep a close watch on their patients' progresses. Any reason of failure during this phase, even due to reasons unrelated to the surgeon's expertise, is very likely to hurt his or her career prospects as a surgeon. So it is not that the surgeon is not acknowledging the work of the physical rehab analyst, but he or she is more concerned legally and professionally to make his or her patients achieve safe and stable physiological status. So, this was about the issue of work credits towards the situations of critical care patients in the healthcare continuum. On the higher wellness side, again, numerous teams work with any patient, but in fact, patient is not the right word on the wellness side. We can say persons, but they are more of independent of each other's work, right? There might be a dietitian, there might be a doctor, there might be a physician who are working for the same person, but since the patient is physiologically stable, they need not be in close communication with each other for that particular person, right? So the due credit of good results in such cases has to be popularized best by the concerned analyst himself or herself only. And now, why this is true? Why this is so? So, there are basically two reasons for this. First, each of the healthcare specialties, like I said, dietitian or a lifestyle coach or a physician, who are involved with the patients at the wellness level of care, they have independent and equal needs of getting recognized for their work also. Especially if all such professionals are not working as a common team, say under a common brand name, then nobody else is going to testify for the analyst's results. So, what is the next option over here? That at least patients can provide great feedbacks about the analyst's work, right? But please remember, patients might be able to tell best about the positive differences they felt with your services, but they won't be able to substantiate that in terms of your overall statistics, especially those which are in line with evidence based practices. So, to understand it as a whole, expectations of getting credit by others for your amazing work in physical rehab is actually a mirage. The only way you can best be credited for your great outcomes is by you yourself only, across all levels of healthcare. So, let us move to the next third perception. The third perception is that most of the people prefer to get treated at low prices without having any consideration of the fact that whether the service is being rendered by a qualified analyst or quacks. This particular perception hurts the most as compared to the previous two perceptions. This one is happening directly in and around the environment of the analyst, where most of the aspects are under his or her direct influence. So, lack of visual results within environment of having greater control, this discourages the analysts more, right? Well, let us analyze this from patient's point of view. Is wanting a great service or product at low prices or even for free, is it a crime? Is it mandatory for the patients to buy your services at your quoted price without exploring possibilities of any reliefs in the same? No, it's not. Patients and their family members do have their independent rights as a customer. So, patients wanting only to hire low price services is absolutely a wrong thought process. It is their constitutional right to choose and decide, accept or reject. And if you're thinking that they do negotiations with you or physical rehab analysts in your field only, then please have a look around. Where are they not negotiating? Whether it be hospital bills, lab tests, radiological services, home services, bill settlements, all of these in healthcare only, where are they not negotiating and approaching? Especially every cash patient will negotiate. Did you ever try to understand why hospitals have different tariffs for cash patients, insurance patients, and patients who have bill reimbursement facilities from their companies? So, patients must not negotiate. This is a wrong perception. But what is important for you is to understand how to minimize such negotiations from happening in your services and how not to lose money in such negotiations. But I know there is one more added complaint here, that to avail the services intentionally at low prices, patients ignore their safety about whether they are hiring a qualified analyst or a quack. And so, this also goes on to promote quackism in the society, right? So, let us gain a clarity on this matter again by looking at a different fact. As per our personal experiences, when do we try to choose a lower priced product or a service in the market? This happens mostly when the same product or service is available abundantly in the market in various price ranges. So the only question that remains is about whether the person is purchasing a real or a fake one. Correct? So remember, if visibly and perceptually the experiences of patients are similar for either a qualified analyst or a quack, patients will have difficulty in making decisions in favor of qualified analysts. Wow, you must be thinking, Ravi has gone mad? How is it possible that the experiences of patients with analysts and quacks will be anything but similar? Relax. I'm going to make you see what was always there in front of your eyes and you missed to check. To understand it clearly, let us again take an example here, this time about the story of automatic blood pressure machine. So there was a time when people used to visit the doctor, and the doctor used to suggest that you need to come daily over here to get your blood pressure charted. So automatic BP machines were not there. So the nurses, they used to put uh, the BP cuff, they used to put a stat, and then they used to palpate. So the patient was not able to understand what the nurse is feeling with the fingers, what she is listening with the stat, and what she is watching with the mercury, and what kind of a number she is writing. So it was a largely uh, you know uh, uh, unknown terrain for the patients. But what happened after the BP machine arrived, the automatic ones? The patient could see that the BP cuff, the machine cuff which the nurse is putting on the arms, and she is pressing a button, and then whatever reading is coming, what even this patient is able to see clearly, and the nurse is reporting the same number as a BP measurement. So what happened in this whole story? The same work which was initially not understood by the patients, it suddenly became quite easily predictable. And so the earnings from a nurse taking the BP stopped, because now patients can say that we can purchase these machines, we can ourselves put this cuff, and we will monitor and will note down the data, and then they can bring that data for analysis to the physician. So while the earnings from taking these blood pressure stopped, but what didn't stop was the value of analysis of the data of BP by the physician. So, coming back to the physical rehab field, please examine closely the fact that is your overall work with your patients consisting mainly of predictable technical work which can be visibly and easily copied by quacks? Or is it focused on creating a strong influence about your specialized and very accountable analytical abilities in your target population? Please remember, till you are working majorly in the predictable zone of your field, you will always face price competitions and market encroachment risks, either by your fellow analysts or quacks. Therefore, being super active in creating a frequent and sustained awareness among your target masses is the only way out to stay maximally safe and improve your revenues. Okay, so let us now examine the fourth and the final perception in this session, which is it is mainly related to the expectations of standardizations of professional grades and compensation levels in various government, non-government, and private employment sectors in India. This perception is that once councils form, either central or state councils, wherever they mean it appropriately, most of these issues will be solved. Yes, definitely. The professional pool as a whole definitely gains ground with such government bodies. But while they will be taking care of things like improvement of education, training, employment, and clinical practices, the standards of these over a period of time, the concerns pertaining to a dignified work experience, right or wrong choices being made by patients, price wars, and quackism can best be dealt by the overall behavioral evolution of the overall professional pool across India. Behavioral evolution means being proactive towards establishing and sustaining the credibility of the physical rehab fields, as what was mentioned in the first perception. Right? So, to summarize, dignity and career and earnings and revenue issues in the fields of physical rehab in India have mostly a different set of fact sheets altogether rather than what is normally perceived. So, now let us overview the solutions to these problems, right? So, we saw the issues. So, how to go about it? What's the correct way or the correct point to move towards resolution. To understand the solutions better, let us get back to how any field gets established in society. Like I mentioned before, it needs to get known first and then it establishes its credibility. But what I would now add here is another fact that unless the commerce of that particular field develops parallelly, even if the credibility is established, it won't be sustained. So, the ideal answers to all the dignity, career, and earning growth issues in the present era lies in developing a robust commerce in the field of physical rehab in India. Now, to make this session effective, we will only focus on how private entities in physiotherapy, occupational therapy, prosthetics, and orthotics across India can look forward to realizing this progress. Because majority of these services in our country are being rendered through private practitioners only. So, what kind of commerce development we are talking here about? To make it simple again, let me provide 5 very specific needfuls here. First things first, be determined to acquire patients directly with your reputation. Remember, patients referred to you by other disciplines in healthcare, and those sourced through lead providing companies belong to them only and not to you. People who have direct clients are the real leaders in the market. I do not say that you must not have referred patients, but only having or majorly having referred patients only is quite detrimental to building your professional dignity and career prospects in the market. Second, focus on increasing the dominance of your analytical work in the psychology of your target population. Analytical work is largely an unpredictable work, and so it will help you gain traction on revenues. Starting from making the society know about your services to your patients testifying for your world class results, please do ensure that your analytical work finds the stage and gains credibility in comparison to relevant evidence based practices. You can access a detailed video on this in the last session of Zero Paisa series. Third solution, third step, make sure to promote yourself for a definite set of clinical skills and not presenting yourself as a jack of all trades. If we take an example, a knee replacement surgeon hardly promotes himself for services other than knee problems and knee replacement surgeries. But this helps people identify him easily, and so patients having shoulder pain and back pain also approach him for treatments, right? This is because people prefer to consult specialized analysts rather than analysts having generalized image in the society or profession. The fourth solution which you must be looking forward to is match your pricings and discounts with your balance sheets. Means calculate your prices as per your monthly costs recovery needs, right? As per your monthly cost recovery needs. Unless you have made profits in the past, do not offer any discount over and above your regular price benefits. Always remember, if you are in an urgent need of money, arrange it from your family, friends, banks, etc., but never compromise with your pricing standards. Focus on increasing your direct footfalls rather than giving unnecessary discounts. Fifth and final one, focus on developing a team or being part of a great team. Now, what kind of a team this has to be? Please remember, higher the professional goals, more delicately aligned must be the team members, even if it is only two of them. They must be aligned in terms of their professional goals and approaches. So, if I have to summarize the whole session, I'll tell you to do away with your weak perceptions and work towards evolving the commerce of your respective fields of physiotherapy, occupational therapy, prosthetics, and orthotics in India. Professional dignity will follow only when physical rehab analysts will earn greatly as a professional pool. This will be required even in the presence of favorable situations like formation of councils. So focus on your core skill sets and put your best step forward towards glory. Thank you for being with me through this session. Please feel free to communicate with me or to put your queries and concerns in the comments box below. All of them will be duly attended to. Wishing you great workings ahead. Thank you.